Check out this fun ghost crochet sweater video tutorial that's cozy enough to wear for any spooky season or just another fun project to make to show off your love for crochet. Hey friends, I'm Shaz and you're gonna love this sweater pattern I'm about to share with you. It's fun, it'll keep you warm, and it even glows in the dark. It's beginner friendly, it comes in all sizes, and the best part, it's also a free pattern which you can find in the link below. I'm using the Red Heart Super Saver yarn in the color black, which I know some of you are probably yelling at me right now. I promise it's going to be an easy pattern, so just follow my instructions, turn on all the lights, and I'm sure you'll be able to make this one too. I'm also using the Hombys glow-in-the-dark yarn. You'll need a 5.5mm crochet hook, some stitch markers, a tapestry needle, and a pair of scissors. To start, we'll first be working on the back panel from the top down. Work up the number of chains needed to fit your chest width. I'm working on size small, so I'll be making 54 chains. And for all the other sizes, check out the full written pattern in the link in the description below. Once you've completed all your chains, you'll chain once more to start the next row. You'll yarn over, insert your hook into the second chain from your hook, you'll draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all loops. This will be your first half double crochet stitch. You'll continue to work the half double crochet stitch into each chain all the way across. Once you've reached that last stitch, you'll chain one and you'll turn your work. On the next row, you'll continue to work the half double crochet stitch into each stitch all the way across, and you'll do this for as many rows needed to fit the height of your sweater, which should reach all the way down to your waist. For size small, I have worked up a total of 43 rows. Once you've completed all your rows, it should look something like this. We will be adding 20 more stitches to the bottom of this panel as our ribbing, which will also give us a nice slit at the side. And from your last stitch, go ahead and work 20 chains. This is applicable for all sizes, but feel free to add or reduce the number of chains needed based on your liking. To start the next row, we'll work one more chain, and into the second chain from our hook, we'll work a half double crochet stitch, and we'll continue to work the half double crochet stitch into every chain all the way down. Once you've completed all the chains, your first row should look something like this. Now, you'll skip the first stitch, and into the second stitch, you'll work a slip stitch and another slip stitch. So you'll be working 2 slip stitches. You'll turn your work, preferably clockwise. Now, you won't be able to see it very clearly from here, but you'll skip the previous 2 slip stitches, and into the third stitch, you'll go ahead and work your first half double crochet. So here, you'll be working on the second row, and you'll be working half double crochet stitches into every stitch all the way across. Once you've worked your way all the way to the top, you'll chain one, you'll turn your work clockwise, and into that first stitch, you'll repeat what you did on the previous row by working a half double crochet stitch all the way down, and once you've completed all the stitches, you'll skip that first stitch and work 2 slip stitches from the second stitch onwards. You'll turn your work clockwise, you'll skip the previous 2 slip stitches, and you'll work your half double crochet into that third stitch. You'll continue working the half double crochet all the way across until you've reached the end of the row. And I'll meet you back here once we're done. Once you've completed with all the rows, it should look something like this, and you should have a really long back panel just like this. Now let's go ahead and work on the front panel. For the front panel, we will be working from the bottom up. So here we'll be working on the bottom ribbing, which is the 20 chains that we worked on, just like we did on the back panel. So go ahead and work 20 chains. To start the next row, we'll chain once more. We'll work a half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. And we'll half double crochet all the way across. Now we'll chain one, we'll turn our work, and you'll work half double crochet stitches into every stitch all the way down. You'll work the same number of rows as you did on the back panel, and I'll meet you back here once we're done with the bottom ribbing. Once you've completed all your rows, you'll turn to the row side, you'll chain one, and from here we'll be working half double crochet stitches along the top of the row's post. Here I'll be working one half double crochet per row, but I'll also be working between the two visible rows as you can see here. So here I'll be working on top of the row's post, followed by another stitch on top of the row's post. The next stitch will be a stitch between the next row. So basically you'll be working two half double crochet stitches on two rows, followed by a half double crochet stitch between a row, and this will give you an additional stitch for every two rows that you worked on. Just ensure that you have the same number of stitches as you do on the back panel as you work your way across. Double check that you have the same number of stitches as the back panel, and once you do, go ahead and chain one and make a second row. Once you've completed that second row, place a stitch marker on the last 12th stitch for size small, or you'll take the number of stitches for your width, you'll minus the ghost pattern, which is 30 stitches, and then you'll divide that number into two. This will be your last or furthest pattern stitch on this first bottom row. For the first row, I'll work the half double crochet stitch all the way across until the sixth to last stitch before the stitch marker. Once I have 6 stitches remaining, I'll yarn over, insert my hook, drop a loop, and before closing up this last stitch, I'll go ahead and pick up my glow-in-the-dark yarn and pull through to close up this stitch. So this last stitch will still be a black stitch, but for my next 5 stitches, which is the ghost pattern, I'll work the 5 half double crochet stitch through the back loop. So I'll yarn over, I'll insert my hook through the loop furthest away from you of the next stitch. I'll pick up the excess yarn while leaving the black yarn behind, and I'll pull through to close up the stitch. So this will be my first stitch for the ghost pattern. I'll continue to work another 4 more stitches. And before closing up that last stitch, before I switch to the next color, I'll pull through the loop, making sure I have 3 loops on my hook. I'll drop the glow-in-the-dark yarn, I'll pick up the black yarn, and I'll pull the black yarn through all loops to close up the stitch. From here, I'll just be working the remaining black yarn all the way across. You will no longer need the stitch marker, so go ahead and remove that. You'll chain one, work your way all the way back, and I'll meet you back here just before starting the ghost pattern on the next row. You can leave the excess tail behind and work through both loops, working a regular half double crochet stitch all the way across. For the next row, the ghost pattern starts on top of the third stitch from the previous row. This means we'll need to change yarn colors just before. Feel free to mark off the first row with a pen as a guide. But because we're now working on the wrong side of the pattern, you'll need to drop the black yarn in front of you, and we'll pick up the pattern yarn and pull through to close up that last stitch. For this row, we'll be working 4 pattern stitches, but this time because we're working on the wrong side, we will now be working through the front loop of the next few stitches. This will be the loop closest to you. On our last stitch, before closing up that stitch, we'll pick up the black yarn and pull through to close up that stitch. For the black stitch, we have 4 stitches to make. So we'll go ahead and work 4 half double crochet stitches through both loops. And on the 4th stitch, before closing up that stitch, we'll drop the black, we'll pick up the pattern yarn, we'll pull through to close up the stitch. The next pattern calls for 3 stitches, so we'll work through the front loop, working 3 half double crochet stitches, and on that 3rd stitch, we'll drop the pattern yarn and pick up the black yarn to close up that stitch. From here, we'll just work the black stitch all the way across, and I'll meet you back here on the 3rd row. Basically, every time we work on the pattern yarn, in this case it's the glow in the dark yarn, we'll only be working through the front and back loops only. The back loops on the right side and the front loops on the wrong side. The reason we're doing this is so that we can get a clean line at the bottom of each pattern row while making it pop out a little bit more. For this next row, I'll talk you through how to carry along the second yarn, or it's called the float method. For this row, the pattern calls for the next yarn color to start 2 stitches before the pattern on the previous row. So I'll go ahead and drop a loop. I'll drop the black yarn towards the back. I'll pick up the pattern yarn and pull through. For the next pattern, we have 12 stitches to make, and I would recommend carrying the second yarn about every 4 to 6 stitches along the way. In this case, I'll be working on every 4th stitch. So you'll pick up your yarn, you'll insert your hook through the back loop, and we'll work 4 half double crochet stitches, and on the 4th stitch, when you'll insert your hook, you'll go ahead and pick up that black yarn while working around it. So this is called the float method. Now you'll drop it again, you'll work another 4 half double crochet stitches, and on the 4th stitch, you'll pick up the black yarn, you'll work around it, and for the last 4 stitches, this is our last stitch, which should be on top of the second to last stitch on the previous row. So instead of working around it, we will just drop a loop, we'll drop the pattern yarn color, we'll pick up the black yarn, and we'll pull through to close up that stitch. As you can see, the yarn is carried along neatly across without making it visible on the front side. I find this method the cleanest way to work with, but feel free to use any method of your choice. And now that you already know how to do this, go ahead and finish working on the ghost pattern, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. Once you've completed working on your ghost pattern, this is how it should look like on the front. And on the back, if you've carried them using the float method, then it should look something like this. Now we'll be adding a few more rows on top of the pattern. I'll be adding 7 half double crochet rows all the way across for size small. And once we're done, we'll work on the neckline. Once you've completed all your rows, you'll place a stitch marker in the middle of the row and then 2 more stitch markers on the first and last 13th stitch. Feel free to adjust to fit your size. From your last stitch, we'll go ahead and work a half double crochet stitch all the way across until we reach the stitch marker. And once you have 2 stitches remaining from the stitch marker, you yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over again, drop another loop. You should have 5 loops on your hook. You'll yarn over and pull through all loops. This will be your half double crochet decrease stitch. Now you'll chain 1 and turn your work, and you'll work 1 more half double crochet decrease stitch into the next 2 stitches. Yarn over again, drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all loops. Next, we'll work 1 half double crochet stitch all the way across, and we'll continue to work the half double crochet decrease on every row only along the neckline. And you'll do this for a total of 5 rows or until you've reached the total length of the body panel. Once you've completed all your decrease rows, bind off and repeat the same thing on the other side. If you started from the left to right, make sure to also start in the same order. That means we will be working on our half double crochet decrease stitch from the stitch marker first. So go ahead and pick up your yarn, drop a loop, and chain 1 to secure. You'll yarn over, insert your hook while working around any excess tail. You'll yarn over, drop another loop, yarn over and pull through all loops to make your first half double crochet decrease stitch. Now you'll work your half double crochet stitch all the way across, chain 1, turn your work, and continue to work your half double crochet decrease along the neckline just like how you did on the other side. And once you've completed all your rows, it should look something like this. Now let's work on the sleeves. For size small, I'll be working 48 chains. For the sleeves, I'll be working on the length of the sleeve, but less 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters for the cuff. So do keep that in mind. So we'll go ahead and work on our chains. Once you've completed working on all your chains, you'll chain once more to start the next row. Now yarn over and into the second chain from the hook. You'll work a half double crochet stitch, and you'll half double crochet each chain all the way across. Once you've worked your way all the way across, this should be the length of your sleeve. You'll chain 1, turn your work, and work into that first stitch a half double crochet stitch and into every stitch across. Now we'll do this for a total of 34 rows or until you've reached your preferred arm's width. Once you've completed all your rows, you could also fold it in half and measure along the sides to ensure that the width is the correct size. Now we'll go ahead and turn to the row side and we'll work on the cuffs. Now you'll chain 1, On this side, we'll work a single crochet stitch into every rose post. Make sure to work your single crochets slightly on the looser side, ensuring that you have the same number of stitches as you do on the cuffs. Once you've completed working your way all the way across, you'll turn your work and chain 20. This will be for all sizes. On your next stitch, you'll chain 1, and into the second chain from your hook, you'll work a single crochet. You'll work a single crochet stitch into every chain all the way down. You should have 20 stitches on your cuffs. Once you've reached that last stitch, you'll skip that first stitch, and into that second stitch, work 2 slip stitches. You'll turn your work clockwise, and you'll skip that previous 2 slip stitches, and into the back loop of that third stitch, you'll work a single crochet. You'll continue to work a single crochet back loop stitch into every stitch all the way across. Once you've reached the end, you'll chain 1, turn your work clockwise, and again, just like before, you'll work a single crochet into the back loop of every stitch all the way down. Next, you'll see this is our current stitch. We'll insert a hook into the next stitch and work 2 slip stitches. You'll turn your work clockwise. You'll skip the previous 2 slip stitches and continue to work the back loop single crochet stitch all the way across. Now you'll just repeat the single crochet back loop stitch into every stitch all the way across and work your way down all the way to the end of the row, and I'll meet you back here once you're done. And once you've completed, just bind off, and this is how your finished sleeve should look like. And once folded, you can see that the cuff is slightly on the narrower side. Now go ahead and make a second piece. Now to assemble. Place the body panel wrong side facing outwards and place stitch markers along the side to secure both pieces. I've also placed stitch markers along the arm opening, which should be about the same length as my folded sleeve. In this case, it should be about 7 inches or 18 centimeters. For the sides, I'll leave the bottom edging unattached and place a stitch marker at the top of the edging row where I'll join the body panel, and I'll work my way up towards the bottom of the arm opening. So go ahead and place a stitch marker there and anywhere else that needs to be secured. Now go ahead and insert your hook at the top of the edging row. Make sure to also do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure that your body panel is the wrong side facing outwards. You drop a loop, chain 1 to secure. Now you insert your hook through both pieces and you'll work a single crochet. So you'll continue to work the single crochet stitch into both pieces all the way across until you've reached the stitch marker, and don't forget to work around any excess tail. And once you've reached that stitch marker, just chain 1 to secure and bind off. And once completed, you can go ahead and work on the shoulders. Insert your hook at the top of the shoulders, making sure to insert them through both pieces. Drop a loop, chain 1 to secure. Now pick up any excess tail and continue to work the single crochet stitch into both pieces all the way across until you've reached the next stitch marker. Once you've completed one side, go ahead and work on the other. I'd usually like to work from the corner, working my way inwards. So I'll turn my work and start from the outer side. Once you've completed working on the shoulders, go ahead and work on the body side. And this is how your finished assembling should look like. And you should have 2 slits at the side. Now let's go ahead and work on joining the sleeves. Fold the sleeves widthwise and place stitch markers to secure both pieces together. Now from the bottom of the cuffs, you'll insert your hook through the stitches through both pieces. You'll pick up your yarn, drop a loop, chain 1 to secure, and into the same stitch, you'll insert your hook and work a single crochet. And don't forget to work around any excess tail. Now you'll just continue to work the single crochet stitch into every stitch all the way across until the end of the sleeve. And once you're done, just go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other sleeve. And once you're done with the sleeve, go ahead and turn it right side out. Make sure to find the seams and fold it along the seam line. Once you're done, you'll take the sleeve and insert the sleeve through the armhole. Making sure that the seam is aligned at the bottom and that your body panel is still facing the wrong side out. Now you'll arrange the armhole and the sleeves together, preferably securing them with some stitch markers. Now you'll insert your hook at the bottom seam of the body panel and the sleeve. You drop a loop and you'll chain 1 to secure. Now you'll single crochet both pieces together and you'll do this all the way in the round. And to keep our work nice and tidy, don't forget to work around any excess tail. Once you've worked your way all the way in the round, just find that first stitch that you made and work a slip stitch, chain 1 to secure, and bind off. And once you're done, you can now remove the sleeve from the inside of the body panel and smooth out the seams. Now you'll do the exact same thing on the other side. Now we only have the neckline to finish off. Now you insert your hook along the seam line, you drop a loop, and you'll chain 1 to secure. You'll insert your hook while working around any excess tail, and you'll work a single crochet stitch. And because you're working along the post side, you'll be working a single crochet stitch into each row's post evenly across each row. And once you've reached the bottom of the neckline, which is the stitch row, You'll do the same by working into each stitch all the way across. Once you've worked your way all the way in the round, you'll find that first stitch and work a slip stitch and chain 1 to start the next row. You'll work another 2 more rows of single crochet stitches in the round, or as many rows or as little rows as you prefer, and I'll meet you back here once we're done. And once you're done, just slip stitch and bind off. And this is how the finished neckline should look like. Now all you have left is to weave in all the loose ends and you're done. This glow-in-the-dark sweater was so much fun to make, and I hope you'll make this crochet sweater too. And if you do, don't forget to expose lots of lights onto the sweater to get the best glow. And if you want to get notified on more patterns just like this, all you have to do is like this video and subscribe to my channel below. I'll see you soon, and happy Halloween!